Okay, we're going to work on part 7 of Federalist number 12. It'll be on commerce and revenue, the taxes that government can get to do what it needs to do to take care of people's business. Every once in a while, I will introduce you to a person's work that will help you understand America better, or that will help you learn about history better, because you will be an international audience, people who most likely don't live in the United States, or if you do, you're an immigrant and you would like to become an American. So I'm hoping that these videos not only will teach you about Federalist Papers, federalism, and also I will be introducing you to some helpful material that will help you understand American civilization better. So in the past 2 videos, I recommended works of some historians. I said if you don't have time to read the book, at least be familiar with their lectures, their talks, and I will continue to do this. Like one of the people that has done wonderful documentaries about America is Ken Burns. His works are great. If you watch all of them, any of them, you're not going to be sorry for that. You're going to enjoy them. You're going to learn a lot. It's wonderful works. His newest work is going to be on Vietnam War, and this actually coming this September the 17th. Today is Friday the 15th, September 15th. So 2 nights from now, they will be airing this on PBS, and I've already told you about PBS television in the United States. I've already mentioned that watch as many videos that are made by PBS as you can. They're really good for the most part. So definitely watch everything by Ken Burns, whether it's the Civil War, whether it's this one, whether it's the one on national parks, whether it's the one on Roosevelt's, the one on jazz. Just watch any of them, and you're going to benefit a lot from it. Benefit quite a bit from it. Now we go to part 7. The paragraph starts with the relative situation of these states, the number of rivers with which they are intersected, and of bays that wash their shores, the facility of communication in every direction, the affinity of language and manners, the familiar habits of intercourse. All these are circumstances that would conspire to render an illicit trade between them a matter of little difficulty, and would ensure frequent evasions of commercial regulations of each other. Okay? He says, look at these 13 states. We're side by side. We've been living side by side for many years. For the most part, we speak the same language. We're somewhat familiar with each other's cultures. And our terrain, our geography, our land is such that if we do not unite, okay, and we become either 13 new countries or 3 or 4 confederacies, watching our borders is going to be very difficult. The way we are situated, the way we do things, and there's going to be smuggling. People will easily move stuff from one state or from one confederacy to another. And the same problems that we've had in the past, if you decide to go 13 different countries, 13 different states, you will have again, your treasuries will be empty. You can't do anything. Whereas where we unite, there won't be any need for smuggling between these states. You can easily get the taxes from imports, the tariffs, and use that. The federal government can use that for your safety and building a navy for your advantage. And then you can just do internal improvement. You can improve inside your country and prosper that way. And you will gradually grow friendlier to one another. So he says, look, this is one of the great advantages that you have to remember. And then he says the separate states or confederacies. So we already said that he's also saying that, okay, there's a chance that there might be 3 confederacies. Southern Confederacy, Middle Confederacy, and the Eastern or Northeastern Confederacy, New England Confederacy. He says either way would be necessitated by mutual jealousy to avoid the temptations to that kind of trade by lowness of their duty. The temper of our governments for a long time to come would not permit those rigorous precautions by which the European nations guard the avenues into their respective countries, as well by land as by water, and which even there are found insufficient obstacles to the adventurous stratagem of avarice. He says, let's say if we don't stay united, okay, our situation is such that we are not going to be like European countries. We're not going to put forts at our border, put guards on our borders to watch what the other states are bringing in and taking out. So it says it just won't work for us here. And it's going to be money wasted on nothing. It's going to be a loss. So it won't work here because, look at the last line. It says, adventurous stratagems of avarice. Those people who really want to make money, they're greedy. All they care about is money. They're going to take any chance they can to smuggle stuff. They're adventurous in a bad sense he's talking about. He said nothing is going to stop them. They'll out-trick you. They'll do any lie they need to move material from one place to another. So he says, think about that. Europeans are wasting a lot of energy and their money trying to watch their borders, and they're not successful. Why should we do something foolish like that when we can unite and get most of our taxes from tariffs? This way we don't have to worry about smuggling, because if you're united, there won't be any need for that. And in the next paragraph, it says, in France, there is an army of patrols, as they're called, constantly employed to secure her fiscal regulations against the inroads of dealers in contraband. It says in France, a lot of their money is going. They've got people patrolling, they call them patrols, all their borders to make sure that nothing gets smuggled in. And they are not having any luck. He's saying we're going to spend a lot of money, waste a lot of money, trying to hire patrols like the French, and it won't work. And then he says, Mr. Necker computes, I don't know the correct pronunciation there. Yeah, he was a Swiss person that was hired by Louis XVI to do the finances of France. And he was very successful in the early 1770s. And he wrote a book around 1784 in 2 or 3 volumes, I believe in 3 volumes. and his book became very popular. James Madison got copies of his book from his friend Thomas Jefferson when Jefferson was in Paris. Remember, we said that he got all those books from France that were sent to him by Jefferson to study the confederacies of the world, to study the history of the world. And it seems like Jefferson had sent him the 3 volumes of Neckar's work on finance, on things that would be relevant to running the government. Okay, so he says Mr. Neckar computes the number of these patrols at upwards of 20,000. He says that France has something like 20,000 of these patrols, these guards. This proves the immense difficulty in preventing that species of with where there is an inland communication, and shows in a strong light the disadvantages with which the collection of duties in this country would be encumbered. If by disunion the states should be placed in a situation with respect to each other resembling that of France with respect to her neighbors, the arbitrary and vexatious powers with which these patrols are necessarily armed would be intolerable in a free country. He says we can't do like French do. If we stay disunited, what do you think is going to happen? Every state is going to have 20,000 patrols watching its borders. Who's going to pay their money? Plus, these patrols are armed heavily. And our people don't like to see a situation like that with so many armed guards at every border. So he says it's foolish if we don't unite. We'll have to spend so much money trying to patrol every border so that items won't get smuggled. And then another awful thing about that is that you get all these armed people at every border or at every place where there is a checkpoint, and that is not good for a country that wants to be a free republic. You can't have that many armed people running around. That is detrimental to our freedom, to our prosperity. It blocks it.